So moving on in our project, the next thing that we're gonna create is the security groups. So to do that, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the same folder where you created the modules for VPC. So you create another folder in there and we'll call it security groups. And in that security groups folder, I want you to create 3 files just like we did with the VPC. So we create a new file, we'll call it variables.tf. We create another file, obviously the main.tf, and we create a third file called the outputs.tf. Just like I did with the VPC module, I've created a reference file, so I'm just going to create a new file and I'll call it reference. You don't have to create this. I'm just creating this so I can commit it to GitHub and you can download it and follow along. So and I've created everything that we need to create our security group module in this reference file. So I'm going to save everything. So I'll just copy all of this, and this is all go in my main.tf. So as you can see, the note here says create security group for the application load balancer. The resource is AWS Security Group, and the reference name I've given it is application load balancer security group. The name, ALB security group. Description is going to enable HTTP and HTTPS access on port 80 and 443. The VPC ID. So if you remember, we created the VPC in the VPC module here, and we exported the name using outputs. So if I come here to the VPC module, go to where we output the VPC right here. So the value would be VPC, the VPC ID, but the name would be VPC ID. So I'll copy that. And then I'll go back to my main.tf here under the security groups module. And I'll reference it by tapping var dot, and then I'll paste it there. And obviously, you always want to create the variable for it. So I'm going to start by tapping variable, and I'll call it VPC ID. Moving on, the first argument here is ingress. Description HTTPS. From port, we're going to type in 80 for HTTP. To port, we're going to type in 80. And we're going to use TCP as a protocol. So in quotes, we'll type in TCP. And the title block, because we're going to be routing traffic to anywhere on the internet, we all know we're going to do 0.0.0.0/0. And all of this has to be in quotes. Don't forget. Moving on, the next rule, we're gonna under ingress, we're gonna access is HTTPS access, and the from port we're gonna enter 443. The to port will be 443 as well. The protocol will be TCP still. And decide that we're also going to allow this rule to route traffic to anywhere from the internet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this right here, and I can just paste it over here. The next rule we're going to enter here will be the egress rule, and the from port will be 0. The to port will be 0. The protocol will be -1, and the CIDR block will be the same like we've been entering. So we're gonna allow this rule to route traffic to anywhere from the internet. So if you want, you can copy this and paste it. I already had a copy, so I just pasted it. And the next argument here says tags. So we're gonna tag it application load balancer security group, and I'm gonna put that in quotes, obviously. Our next argument here says we're gonna create a security group for our container. As you can see, the resource type is the AWS Security Group, and the reference name I've given it is ECS Security Group. As you can see, I named it ECS Security Group as well. A basic description basically was saying that this security group should enable HTTP and HTTPS traffic access on port 80 and port 443 through our application load balancer security group we created up here. And for the VPC ID, it's going to be the same VPC, so we're just going to reference it by typing var.vpcid. The, the first rule is ingress. Description is HTTP access going to be from port 80 to port 80, and the protocol will be TCP as well. And the security group, so basically we're saying to allow HTTP traffic coming into our container from this security group. So what we're going to do here is I'll scroll up and copy this security group name. I'll copy it, and I'll scroll back down. I'll paste it in here. I'll take away the quotes, add a period, come over to the end, add another period, and type .id. The next rule is the ingress rule for HTTPS, and it's going to come from port 443 into 443, and the protocol will be TCP as well, and the same will be the AWS security group, the load balancer security group, I meant to say. Just noticed here that I have to put this in square brackets, same as for this. So the next rule we're going to work on will be the egress rule, and basically it's going to be from port 0 to port 0. The protocol will be -1, and for CIDR blocks it will also going to allow traffic to route to anywhere on the internet. So I'm just going to copy this, scroll all the way down, and paste it. And the next argument will be tags. I'm going to name it the ECS ECS security group. So this is everything that we need to create our security groups for our application load balancer and for ECS service as well. So the next thing that we're going to have to do is to output their values in our outputs.tf so we can reference it when we create other modules. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open the outputs.tf to the corner right here, and I'll begin by typing output, and then I'm going to go here and find out where I created my application load balancer security group. But before I do that, I'm going to obviously have to name it. So I'm going to call it the application load balancer security group underscore ID. And for the value, so in my main.tf, I know I created it somewhere here. So this would be the value for that. So I'm just going to copy this and I'll paste it here. And I'm just going to copy this whole output because I'm also going to have to output the value of the ECS security group. So I'll paste that, and the name, I'm going to call it ECS security group. So I'm just going to edit this out into ECS security group ID. And for the value, so here I'm going to find where I created my ECS security group. this is everything that we need to create our security groups module. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna save my work. So moving on, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna close everything that I have open so far, just so I have a clean working environment. And right here in my project file, I'm just gonna open this and I'll go in the main.tf. Here, remember this is where we created our VPC. So I'm gonna press enter again. I'm gonna write a note, then create security groups. And then next thing you wanna type is module. So you get that prompt. I'll press enter and I'll call it security groups. The first argument would be source. And just like we did in the previous module, the VPC module, so for the source, we're gonna type a dot, 2 dots, slash modules slash security groups. So we're getting a suggestion here, which is correct. Next argument would be whatever variables that we had stated when creating the security group modules. So the only variable we have will be the VPC ID. So I'm just gonna copy that. Could just type it, but I'm just gonna copy that. So I'll type VPC underscore ID equals. So because we created a VPC in this module here, I'm gonna reference the module by typing module dot VPC dot this VPC ID. And this is everything that we need to create our security groups in our AWS account. So the next thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna save my work. So I'm gonna hit file, save all. Next, I'm gonna click on my folder here, and I'm gonna open. Actually, I'm just gonna open it, and then the main.tf. I'll click on open in the integrated terminal. I'm gonna type Terraform, FMT, just because I want a clean code. Really doesn't do much, but format your code so it kind of aligns all the equal signs under each other and just kind of makes your work a little more pretty. Now I'll take a look at Terraform plan just to see everything that's gonna get created once we type in Terraform apply. So just give it a second here. As you can see, it's gonna create everything that we created in the VPC module and in the security groups module.